This is a guy named Kyle Kalinski. He does he calls himself Secular Talk, which is kind of ironic because he secular essentially like tips at the idea of being respectful of other beliefs while having your own, and that doesn't seem to be the case with the Kyle Kalinski clan. And he put up this video. I haven't watched it, but the title caught my eye. Biden is fucked. 161,000 views on this thing. He's got 973,000 subscribers. And he like Jimmy Dore, like to some degree Russell Brand, are making their bones by dragging the administration while it does stuff that allegedly they're for. Yeah, the Kyle Kalinski clan. But the title of this is Biden is fucked. And I would like to see why he seems to think so.
Joe Biden is toast. That's
all right. That'll settle it. So he's toast. He's done. Biggest infrastructure bill in 30 years. Rescue package. Wages going up for the first time in ages. By the way, a more diverse panel of judges. This is probably what it is. This is probably what do you think the biggest problem? Judges diversity. This is probably the part that really upsets Kyle, I guess, the most. This is probably why he's toast. I mean, like I said, we'll see as we do this bit. Biden's judicial picks reflect nation's diversity. That's probably the worst thing. That's why he's toast. Right? Is he fucking toast?
It very gently and kindly and as soft as I can. We have some new poll numbers that just came out, so let me go ahead and throw this up on the screen for you.
Okay, these are new poll numbers. His approval rating now stands at 44%, which is up from what we showed earlier in the show, is up. It was at 41, now it's at 44, and is now at the highest point Trump's ever was. But we'll see if he gets to that.
This is from The Hill. They say President Biden's disapproval rating reached a new high in December, according to a new CNBC Change Research poll. Overall, the survey showed 56% of voters disapproved of Biden's performance in office, an uptick from 54% in September.
Still within the margin of error.
49% in April. His approval rating now stands at 44%. Now, that's the lowest.
Which is up 3%, which is higher than the margin of error.
This particular poll, by the way, I should be clear about that. Biden was particularly hard hit when it came to the public's opinion of his handling of the economy and the COVID-19 pandemic. Specifically.
Okay, and what's the part that Kyle hates most? I'm curious. What's the bad part of the economy? Is it the 3.9% unemployment rate? Is it the rising wages? Is it that workers seem to have choice for the first time in decades?
Poll indicated that 60% of respondents disapproved of Biden's handling of the economy and 55% disapproved of his pandemic response. For the economy, 72%.
Yeah, that's because a big chunk of people think there should be a mandate, and a huge chunk of people who voted for Trump don't believe that in vaccines at all.
Said they disapprove of Biden's management of the price of everyday goods, and 66% said they did not.
They do realize that he does not manage the price of everyday goods, right? And that COVID happened. But okay, never mind.
Of the president's.
I'm sure Kyle will come to the defense of the current Democratic Party and those who are trying to make it better for average Americans all over the place, and have taken a lot of hits trying to do what's best for the environment, even when it causes a slight rise in fuel prices. I'm sure it's the tough work that needs to be done.
To help their wallets. Now, Biden used to do very well on the issue of the pandemic. He used to have very high grades on the issue of the pandemic. Now that's tanked, and it's tanked because of the Omicron surge, where we have, a record number of cases every single day rolling in. Now, hospitalizations are going up, but they're still not, past the Delta peak, or maybe even the original peak, because, we have such a large percentage of the population is vaccinated. So when a lot of people get Omicron, it's more just, standard cold symptoms.
You mean Biden's plan worked and it's a good thing? I'm sure he'll bail him out.
But there's still plenty of people who are unvaccinated. So there is an uptick in hospitalizations, and I'm sure deaths are rising.
No, there is not an uptick in hospitalizations. There's a trackable amount, and the large portion of them, if they aren't already, if people are vaccinated, they might be hospitalizations go up, but they go home because they check in, they're there for a day, and they're fine because they had it before, and they've got comorbidities, or they've got Delta, and they aren't vaccinated, and that's why they're in there, and it's not part of Omicron
as well, and they might rise even more. But the other day we had over 1 million official cases. Now, understand also, official cases are not a true indicator of the actual number of Omicron cases happening in this surge, because I know plenty of people who've gotten Omicron who were never counted in any official statistics because they didn't go get any official PCR test. Maybe they took a rapid test, maybe they didn't, but,
Most of the PCR and rapid tests have an app that goes with them. It tracks you anonymously. It says whether or not it was positive or negative. It asks you to track it. They generalize on that. They overshoot the number and undershoot it depending on where they're counting from. Ugh.
So plenty of people get it, and then they're not part of the official statistics. So when they say it's like 1 million cases a day, Lord knows how many more there actually are floating around out there. So on the issue of the pandemic, which used to be a strong suit, now that's imploded. On the issue of the economy, it's fun.
And by the way, and are you making the case that it should? It seems to be that Kyle is making the case that Biden's numbers on it should tank, not because he didn't get people vaccinated so that when the wave came, people aren't dying or being hospitalized, that it should tank because Omicron is a reinfecting version of it, even though it's milder and the case rate is going up. He should take this hit in the polls, according to Kyle Kalinski. He deserves this attack. Biden deserves the bad press he's getting, even though it's the sheer number of people who've been vaccinated that are keeping the death rate and hospitalization rate down. But he's fucked because Kyle thinks this is happening and it's legit and it's a reasonable criticism.
The news is trying to hype up this idea that, well, the stock market is doing well. But as I tell you guys all the time, the stock market is not a great indicator of how your average American is doing. So it's not something that I like to talk about.
It didn't used to be. And then retail investors came in. And now it's all over the fucking place. To the point where even the guys on CNBC and Market Watch and all these places are going, the market's crazy. Because there's enough retail investors who aren't day trading, who don't give a fuck about, the shaving points version of playing in the internet or in the market. And so they just buy a stock in a company they think will have legs and sit on it. Or they sell out of something if it's not doing well, but in very limited amounts. Or they'll take a little bit of wins since shit has gone up around Christmas and make it drop down a couple points. Then it goes right back up again because the point drops down and everybody else who didn't own that before but wants to buy some buys the dip. Because retail investors using Robinhood and all this other stuff. And there's no way this motherfucker doesn't do the exact same thing.
Under Republican presidents or...
And I don't know what the mental institution Nazi haircut is about. I don't get it. I think this is constant with him. I don't know what's happening there. It's like he needs place for the electrodes or something.
Presidents. I don't want to give credit for something that's not a true indicator of the health of your average American. So they could try to push that narrative all they want, and the Biden administration is trying to lean on the idea that the market is doing well, but that's really not a good argument. It's just not.
Why? Because most stocks used to be owned by either large corporations or big robber baron types or cigar chomping fat dudes in the 1950s. You're just going to pretend cell phones don't exist. We're just going to operate as if nothing changed. Right.
So he's really got nothing going on for him right now. Now, Joe Biden had recently said,
Nothing going on. Again, nothing going on. By the way, you know how Trump gets all this credit for all these judges he's had cleared? He got cleared in his years as president. Biden has already beat his first year number. Already. How about, let's see. What else? Here we go. Hold on. Let's see. U.S. Department of Labor. In 2021, unemployment rates fell for most demographics, but remain significantly higher for Black and Hispanic workers than for white workers. But we can't achieve a full and inclusive recovery until we tackle longstanding and persistent systemic inequities. Now, did the U.S. Department of Labor tweet anything even remotely like that when Donald Trump was president? Do you think they gave a rat fuck? Did they talk about it in those terms? Do you think this doesn't have something to do with who's in office now? 3.2, 4.9, Asian 3.8, Black is 7.1. Currently, uniforms 3.9 across the country. Going down in all areas. Nothing to be happy about. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Savings are up, but New Year's resolutions bring financial requirements. According to a new survey from Citibank conducted by the Harris Poll, encouraging 70% of Americans are saving the same amount or more money compared to last year. Despite prioritizing the saving, 49% plan to make a resolution plan to purchase something, such as a material item or subscription service, to maintain their 2022 New Year's resolutions, like gym memberships, shit like that, signaling a potential concern of balancing savings goals with spending temptations. Right, that's what they always say. 70% are saving as much or more as the year before. Yeah, Kyle got me on a clickbait title. Totally true, Shetpants.
well, yeah, I get it. My poll numbers are not doing too well right now, but the way it works is the polls go up and the polls go down. So, you know, people might not be feeling too hot about me right now, but check back in a month or 2 months or 3 months and boom, all of a sudden it'll pop back up. That's just the way it works. That's the way it worked with Trump. That's the way it's going to work for me. That's the way it worked with Obama. And what he should be noticing at this point is that is definitely not true. There's not just a...
Yeah, it is. It's actually up since the other poll we looked at. It was at 41%. Now it's at 44% in his approval rating. And the infrastructure bill hasn't even been put into effect yet. Those jobs have not started yet. And we're already at 3.9%. The dude had just passed a bill to remove all the lead pipes in the nation. Fuck you. If you can't tout these things, you're like, oh, it's the polling is why he's down. This is the only way that this asshole can shit on Biden right now, because the material reasoning is he has, and I don't know if he has the point or the guts to do this, but if he materially goes after Biden, he has to shit on what Biden's actually been doing. And he's so averse to supporting any of it. He's so part of the Trump team in this regard that he must sell bad news for Biden all the time. This is bad news, according to Kyle Kalinski, because the polls don't reflect it yet. And they never will, because he's putting all these diverse judges in. He passed this infrastructure bill, which Trump said he was going to pass. He got us out of Afghanistan. We are now no longer dumping $300 million a day in Afghanistan or involved in that theater of war at all. But Kyle would rather have us there, involved in drone strikes and having soldiers on the ground and all that kind of shit. He'd rather have us, a Trump-level judgeship every 2 days, filled by some lunatic who's totally unqualified.
A cycle that is inherent to poll numbers when you're talking about the president or any other politician. I mean, for the love of God, we talk about the congressional poll numbers all the time. It varies between like 7 or 8% and 23%. Usually it's high when it's at like 23%. Are they?
Yeah. And as a body, the low poll numbers are how a lot of the locals run it. A lot of people hate Congress, love their congressperson. That's the split in the polls in perception. Has nothing to do with whether people get elected or not.
Polls that just go up and down, and hey, maybe next week it'll be at 84% popular. No.
They're not counting on that, fucko. They're not just going, well, eventually. Eventually it'll turn around. They're actually doing shit. Well, no, Kyle is part of the group that founded the phrase progressives hate progress. Any progress is bad fucking news because it'll put you out of a job. If this is what you sell for a living, the minute you make any ground, it's bad news. Because if you live off clickbait bullshit titles like this, and this is your whole sales point, we're 4 minutes in and this is all about polling.
That's not the way it works. You actually have to do something, or at least have the appearance of doing something.
Yeah? Is that what you have to do something? Something different? Something that sets you apart from the last party? You have to, let's see. Let's just, I'll look one thing up. How about this? Let's not even go with let's not even go with the infrastructure bill, fucko. You have to actually do something. You have to build, like, I don't know, get an infrastructure bank passed for the first time and have $50 billion worth of seed money in it so it can fund up to $20 trillion of growth in infrastructure over the next 30 years.
Helping people in order for your poll numbers to go up.
Oh, yeah. You gotta help people. You gotta help people. You gotta pass the infrastructure bill. You gotta pass the reconciliation bill, right? Is that what it is? Because Build Back Better didn't go through on its own, which was the part that they held out and were like, we're just going to stomp our feet and keep the other bill from passing until ours passes. Even though we don't have the votes for our bill, if we let that other bill pass, that's not a win for us, even though it's a win for the entire fucking country. So stomp, stomp, blather, blather.
And look, I'll submit to you guys right now. What the hell's he doing?
Kyle will smoke me on policy. Kyle is the most ignorant person on policy currently on the internet. Kyle is the Dan Bongino of the left.
What's he doing? Well, there is one answer. And, if you want to give him some modicum of credit on this front, I understand, because he just announced something which is an attempt to fight inflation, namely when it comes to meat and when it comes to, it might even be beef in particular. So there's been a giant increase in the price of beef, and the actual reason for that is monopolization. So you have 4 big, I think it's meat packing companies, and they're basically colluding to keep the price high. And so Biden announced, look, we need more competition in order to lower those prices. And so he's doing a $1 billion initiative to try to, have other meat producers and other meat packers who are smaller in size have the government.
It's part of the Indie Farm Initiative. Yeah, we fucking know.
Subsidize them so that you can.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why we elected him. He talked about it during the fucking campaign.
More competition, therefore destroying the monopolies' hold on the game.
Hold on. First of all, it's not a monopoly if there's 4 of them. If there's price fixing, that's illegal. They're not technically price fixing. You're talking out of your ass. There's 4 main producers. The indie producers are always fighting uphill to get stuff to market without having to go through them. And then they can argue about what they're going to pay for stuff and fight over. It's not even they're calling each other up. Set the price at $25 a fucking pound. They're not. They're just fighting for a limited slice of the pie, and then they can muscle each other by buying big swaths of it from people at once. Good Lord.
And
beef.
so is that a good idea? Sure. I mean, it's a step in the right direction, but I mean, listen, even under best case.
Biden only got progressive votes by promising a ton of shit, so now we just forget that hell. What did he promise that he isn't delivering? That he can do himself, or that he's fighting for in Congress. He's still fighting for all the stuff in Congress. He still has to get it through there. Still got to get it fucking passed. There is no gun to be held to the head of Kristen Sinema or Joe Manchin. There is none. He's doing everything he can on his own, but you're like, fuck this guy. I'd rather have Trump in there ruining the whole thing.
This
I'd rather
is like
have
a
him in there.
long-term approach to try to deal with inflation. Now, some numbers came out the other day, too. This was mind-blowing. 60% of inflation is going to corporate profits. So, in other words, that Business Insider...
What? 60% of it is gas and used cars. Corporate profits. You mean the companies that didn't make any profits and were working at a deficit and now have to hire people back? What are they doing with those profits? Honestly, are they doing stock buybacks? Are gas companies doing stock buybacks by being 43% of inflation?
Article that we covered on this show a while back, which said, hey, listen, there are outlets like Walmart that they're just jacking up their prices, even if these particular goods are not necessarily caught up in the supply chain crisis, so there is no natural inflation with it. They're using inflation as an excuse to jack up their prices. Now that's happening in an even more widespread way. So really the only way that...
More widespread than Walmart? And by the way, what the fuck is where is it that the Democrats are suddenly like pro Walmart price jacking?
Handle inflation is to take on the corporations directly. Sure, the idea that Biden floated is fine, but you need to enforce our antitrust laws. You need to actually crack down.
We don't have... There's no trust to bust, motherfucker. There's... Walmart and Amazon are direct competitors. Half the shit can be bought on Alibaba or on fucking eBay at this point. Are we supposed to break up Etsy?
Using our anti-monopoly laws on the books. You got to break up some companies.
There are no monopolies. These aren't monopolies. That's the point. There's like 5 different giant corporations. They're not monopolies.
And you have to do it now. And, you know, the other thing is...
And what are you going to do? Break up Walmart? That's going to solve it. We break up Walmart, which is, by the way most Americans get cheap goods. You break up Walmart and most of these like hard to reach places, the price goes up. That's how they got where they were. They undercut prices. They own the trucking. They sell cheaper. Walmart is not some place you go for a premium price. That's the cheap place, and it's staying cheap. What the fuck is he talking about?
Yes, the supply chain is what's to blame for the rest of the crisis. So you have corporate profits,
right?
You have monopolies.
By the way, what corporate profits? What are you talking about? You talking about stock buybacks from other companies like fucking Wells Fargo or something? Or are you talking about them hiring more workers now? What do you do with profits? You either expand, or I guess you could, the idea is that they hoard it. Seriously, what's a profit more than, like, all growth comes from profit? It has to. If you don't have any profit, you're not expanding, you're not growing, you're not hiring more people, you're not opening more stores, period. You just aren't. If it took the same amount of calories on your fork to lift your hand to your fucking mouth, you would die. You couldn't heal or fix anything, and you couldn't grow at all. You would stagnate. You would starve to death. If it took 800 calories, if you had 800 calories on a fucking fork, and it took 800 calories worth of energy expansion to get it to your mouth, that's zero profit. And I still don't know why the fuck Biden is to blame for the prices at Walmart, which are allegedly up because beef? What the fuck?
But then you also have the supply chain crisis, which is still a crisis, which, you know, you should be doing more to address. Do they have people work?
You should? How should he? What should he do? Tell me what he should be. Yeah, he's a Trump-gressive.
Around the clock at some of these ports that are backed up and clogged, but there should be more resources that are
Wait, hold on. Premiered January 5th. Fuck, sounds like it was recorded in August.
to this issue. And you got to do something now. That's the point. And one of the other problems with Biden is that even if he does something that's good, which is rare, he has no idea.
By the way, that's just because Kyle thinks that a more diverse judiciary is bad. That more people working is bad. That environmental changes are bad. Kyle thinks removing all the lead pipes from the United States are bad. Kyle thinks expanding broadband to rural states is bad. Kyle thinks a smart grid is bad. Kyle thinks moving from coal and as a fuel source through natural gas to renewables over the course of a 20-year plan to get us to net zero is bad.
Market it, how to sell it, like, you know, Trump.
Motherfucker, you're in the marketing arm. This is what he does. You sell progressive ideas. You present them to the world. You try to motivate people to change and to favor certain policies. And then when they fucking happen, you're like, yeah, but fuck it. I mean, it's not really real, and fuck it. And it's not going to work, and probably not. And he didn't even mean to do it. Somebody forced him to do it. He didn't want to do it. Jesus Christ.
It was a terrible president, but one of the things he would always do is put on the show to make...
Oh, yeah, Trump was terrible. He never got infrastructure passed, but he talked about it. He kept saying it was infrastructure week, and that's better.
Remember when he was doing those COVID daily...
Yes, where he said stick a light bulb up your ass and drink bleach. Yeah, that was very effective. And did you notice he lost the election by 8 million votes?
Things, and he would go out there and say, we're doing wonderful. We had this under control. We're fighting. We're making therapeutic.
Yes, and it's why he lost the election. Because he went out there and talked shit and did nothing. This is your advice?
It's great. And sometimes, since he's so much of an idiot, he screwed it up because he'd go out there and say, maybe if we get some sunlight inside the body, or if you get some bleach inside the body, then maybe that'll help. So, he's dumb, so that came back to bite him in the ass. But at least there was the appearance.
But at least there were weird right-wing channels that would support him everywhere, like you're doing. Why doesn't Biden have people supporting what he's trying to do when it's good? Because he doesn't come out and blow shit at everyone? God damn.
Of being a leader and doing something. Andrew Cuomo, back when he had his highest approval ratings. Now, granted, this guy's a scumbag and a criminal and everything is...
Granted. So is everybody you like a fucking scumbag and a liar? Is that the prerequisite? Does Kyle just only like people who are liars? Like, I like it when people lie well. If you actually do work, nobody gives a fuck about that. Nobody cares if you actually do your job. I want to see you do your job or something.
With that guy. But when he did his daily...
Yes, when he did his daily talk, during the time that he was shuffling people back into old folks' homes, and that came back to bite him in the ass. Better that, right? So Biden coming out and doing all these speeches, going around the country, talking in, at factories and all this kind of stuff, driving an electric car. I'm sure Kyle covered all that stuff. I'm sure he went, finally, he's coming out and showing how cool electric vehicles are and helping America make that shift.
COVID press conferences, people were like, well, now that's a leader. And he had very high approval ratings, the highest in the country when it comes to a governor. Biden even does something good, which is rare. There's very little.
And by the way, what the fuck do you mean, which is rare? I'm dead serious. What the fuck does he think is rare about this stuff? Unless, by the way, Kyle thinks we should still be in Afghanistan. He thinks we should still be there. I mean, what's the other explanation? That the infrastructure bill shouldn't have been passed. That the rescue package was unnecessary and stupid and didn't help anybody, even though it salvaged millions of jobs and people's livelihoods and in many ways their lives. How about reaching a vaccination level where when Omicron hit, there were enough people vaccinated where it's basically just a cold for them? saving people all during Delta because of the same thing, which is rare. We're less than a year into his presidency.
Bragging about it, marketing it, letting everybody know there's an adult in charge, showing it. So what are you going to do?
Hey, fucko, what are you going to do? Because you're the one sitting here going, when he does anything right, it's fucking rare. Why don't you sell your shit so I don't have to? What? Even if he did, even if Biden came out and went, look what I did. Fucking stock market, boom. Unemployment, 3.9%, boom. Narrowing the gap between black people and white people and Asians and Hispanics and the boom. 70% vaccinated, boom. Kids back in school, boom. Like when it just comes out and do this asshole would come out and go, who's Biden think he is? He's turning into Trump. That we knew it would happen.
Biden, what are you going to do that impacts right now?
Which is what? Again, I don't know what this magic flip switch is. What? Break up Walmart. Do it now. What? Seriously. That seems to be what he's calling for. Immediately break up Walmart. Because the supply chains, sure, they're real, but they're raising prices at Walmart even though they don't have to. What the fuck?
And remember, he's got his executive order pen, which is incredibly powerful.
And temporary. And he's used it a bunch of times. By the way, has Kyle, I don't know, I don't need to watch any more Kyle than I'm absolutely bare minimum forced to. But I'm sure he touted all of the executive orders that Biden has done so far. He's like celebrating them, yes?
Fight, do something. Try to cut another stimulus check. Try to
cut another stimulus check. Yeah, that's the way you fight inflation. Dump more cash into the system. Just as the system is righting itself and inflation is part of the problem and they're having to do a taper, cut another stimulus check. Brilliant.
Another stimulus check. Make a big show of it. Trump tried to do that through executive order at one point. You should try to do the same thing. You should call a press conference about it. And if you can't do it through executive order, then try to do it through
You can't write a stimulus check through an executive order. You know what kind of insane country we would live in if the president could just write an executive order? I'm just writing a check to every American. Are you fucking insane?
Through regular order and call the Republicans in and put pressure on them. Do a press conference where you say, look,
pressure.
We need 60 votes.
Yeah, put pressure on them. That seems to work. They all seem to respond to pressure. Use the bully pulpit. Fucking
to get this through, we're going to try to get a $2,000 stimulus check to everybody. I'm here to tell you, I'm on board. Every Democratic senator is on board. And look, we got holdouts.
No, they won't be. It'd be a cash dump, and it would cause more inflation. You want to create jobs for people, not just dump money into the system. Honest to God. What kind of Andrew Yang horse shit is this?
Republican Party. Maybe I could get one or two, but hey, you American people, maybe you should pick up the phone and call these Republicans and tell them you need another stimulus check because I'm ready.
Yeah, do something immediately, like call a press conference and say you're going to write stimulus checks with an executive order, which you don't have the power to do, to put pressure on Republicans so that people will call Republicans and go, hey, earphone, you guys better sign on to another stimulus check or else. What? This doesn't pass for actual thought, does it? Hal, the UBI is the only humane solution. It must become a prerequisite of capitalism. Bullshit. It won't happen. All it does is drive up the price of everything. You dump $1,000 a month into the system, the price of everything goes up $1,000 a month. You get tell you what, you secure nationwide rent control, then we'll talk about UBI. Otherwise, you're fucking out of your mind. It's just true.
Willing and waiting to get you another stimulus check. But these guys are obstructionists. These sons of bitches don't want to help the American people in any way, shape, or form. I'm here to help the American people. I'm here to be a leader. I'm here to guide the process. I want to give you $2,000.
That'll work. That's what's happening. That's great. God damn, this is dumb. I'm here to give you $2,000. Just buy your poll numbers back. That'll work. Good Lord.
I want to do that right now. I understand the hurt that's out there. I understand the struggle and the pain that's out there. I understand that people are having a hard time getting.
No, you don't. If you understood the struggle and the pain, you wouldn't think that a $2,000 check would patch the fucking hole at this point. We've done that 3 times already. American savings are up. It's working. Here's a good idea. How about a means tested one where people who are below a certain threshold, like they're making the people at the poverty line, we're going to give them an extra $2,000. If you actually gave a fuck, you would float that kind of an idea. Of course, what it would do is drive up the cost of everything in low-income areas because they knew that money was coming in. It'd be gone as fast as it went in. Unless you put those price controls on, but you could only do it in certain areas. Which you're not going to do because it's illegal. And you can't do it with an executive order, and you'll never pass through the House and the Senate. And if you're going to do something immediately, like, this is fucking goofy.
I understand what inflation is.
Oh, and by the way, Kyle doesn't want it to be means tested, meaning it only goes to poor people. He wants to go to middle class people so they have an extra $2,000 in their pocket so they can send a bunch of it to him.
Your wallet. I understand how bad the economy is for the average Joe and Jane. Well, I'm here to.
The economy is for the average Joe and Jane. The average Joe and Jane. It's 2019 numbers. Let's see. Median household income in the United States is $67,251. Sorry, $521. I read that backwards. It was only down 2%, 2.9% from 2019 during COVID. The only statistical decline caused by COVID. Let's see. 2019 to 20. Yeah. So 20. I don't know where the 2021 figures are. Average income. Yes. Let's go 2021. Average U.S. income 2020, 2021. Assuming a 40-hour work week, the average hourly income of workers in Q3 2021 comes out at $25.08. Average American income varies between genders, with men taking home about $1,105 a week, about 29% more than a woman's median weekly income of $914. That's all men, all women working part-time and full-time, children, blah, 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 mixed all together. But there you go. Let's see. U.S. Trustee Board of Justice. Family size household income. Let's see. One earner households. Case file. The following table provides median family income data reproduced in a format designed for easy use completing bankruptcy forms. This is what you get. So in the average 2-person household in Alabama, they bring in $59,818. Average in Alaska is $85,000. Arizona is $69,000 a year. Arkansas is $57,000. California is $82,000. Colorado is $87,000. Connecticut $89,000. Delaware $77,000. DC is $130,000. Florida $65,000. Georgia $67,000. Let's see. Where's we gotta have Vermont in here, right? Where's Bernie's this? Bernie's state $73,000 median income. Tennessee $63,000. Texas $70,000. Wyoming $71,000. Single earner households. Lowest one on here is South Carolina at $49,000. And Alabama at $49,191. Louisiana's at $46,000. Okay, that's actually lower. There you go. Oh, here you go. Maine at $54,000. Look at that. And $53,000 in Michigan. $44,275. There we go. These single earners. I was looking at the wrong column. Meanwhile, 4-person households, people with kids, you're nearing nearly 100,000 in every state, but for 3. $2,000. Throw everybody a $2,000 check. That'll solve it all. Don't means test it so that you give it to just the poor people. Send it to everybody. Kentucky is 49 individual, 49 or 41 individual. Two-person households make $58,298. Three people, meaning two people and a kid, usually $67,461. Four people in a household, wife, husband, two kids, usually $81,000 in Kentucky. How would student debt forgiveness stimulate the economy without inflation? No, it would not. There would be inflation from it because you'd get basically the idea is that money spent not paying your interest and your the money that you would pay monthly would go into other things, driving the prices up.
For you, I'm here to do the right thing, and I'm not going to stop until I get it done. But I need your help in the process. Pick up the phone.
Yeah, do something immediately. Call Republicans and talk them into letting me give you $2,000. I mean, there are solutions for stuff, but this is just fucking dumb.
Let everybody know, hey, support President Biden's $2,000 stimulus checks and do it right now.
Dude, why would they do that? You don't even support the diversity of judges, the infrastructure bill, the rescue package, getting out of Afghanistan. You don't crow about unemployment improvements. You don't even care about people's pensions going up because they're invested. Why the fuck would we trust you to crow about $2,000? Motherfucker, you'd set the standard at $2,000. Then if $1,600 got passed, you'd go, this son of a bitch cheated me out of $400.
Do something. Give me some appearance of leadership. You know.
Why? Why the fuck would we trust you to support or crow about anything, even if the $2,000 check got through? 3 months later, after it's spent, worked its way in, created inflation in a bunch of different areas, usually in low-income areas because that's where the cash gets spent the quickest, because people who are wealthy would just sit on it. They're not going to, in wealthy areas, that money's not going to go up, and if it does, it'll be in the margins. It won't affect their bottom line at all. But in poor areas, that extra $2,000 would jack the fuck out of everything. Three months later, you think Kyle's going to be like, yeah, Biden got us that $2,000. What have you done for me lately?
Actually sign some executive orders that might help people. I mean, we talk about it all the time.
Oh my God, we talk about it all the time. Do you? You talk about it all the time? Let's see. Shall we? Let me jump in here real quick, if I may. Slide this over. Give me a second. List of Biden executive orders. Federal Register. See, adjustments to certain rates of pay, establishing the United States Council on Transnational Organized Crime, transforming federal customer experience and service delivery to rebuild trust in government, catalyzing clean energy industries and jobs through federal sustainability, National Space Council, non-displacement of qualified workers under service contracts, termination of emergency with respect to the situation in Burundi, improving public safety and criminal justice for Native Americans, and addressing the crisis of missing or murdered indigenous people. Do something, man. Do something that Kyle gives a fuck about, because he doesn't give a fuck about. This is the list of things that Kyle Kalinski either does not care about or fucking hates. One or the other. All of the above, this is it. Implementation of Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. Well, all the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, getting the lead pipes out, getting the, broadband, improving roads and bridges so people don't fucking die. Kyle's against it. It's a sign of bad leadership. Designation to exercise authority over national defense stockpile. The White House initiative on advancing educational equity, excellence, and economic opportunity for Black Americans. Something that, come on, Biden, why don't you do fucking something? Something that matters. Not this bullshit. Kyle hates this stuff. What the fuck is this point, for? This doesn't help Kyle at all. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that dude has 900,000+ subscribers. Well, he's been around for a long fucking time, yammering like this. He's been aligned with, he was with Justice Democrats where they kicked Cenk out, right? White House initiative on advancing educational equity, excellence, and economic opportunity for Native Americans and strengthening tribal colleges and universities. Fuck those people, right, Kyle? Fuck them. When's Biden going to do something worthwhile with that powerful pen of his? Continuance or reestablishment of certain federal advisory committees and amendments or executive orders. Adding measles to the list of quarantinable communicable diseases. Good idea. Imposing sanctions on certain persons with respect to the humanitarian human rights crisis in Ethiopia. Who gives a shit about, right, Kyle? Who gives a shit about what's going on in Ethiopia? You don't report on it. You don't even care. I mentioned it a few times over the last little bit. What's going on in Nigeria and Ethiopia, and the colonization by the Chinese through the Belt Road Initiative and all the bullshit they're pulling over there. But who gives a fuck about that, right, Kyle? Right, Kyle? What? Huh? Why not? Hey, Kyle. What else? Requiring coronavirus disease 2019 vaccination for federal employees. Fuck them. Who cares? Why does he do something? Declassification reviews of certain documents concerning the terrorist attacks of September 11th. You know, whatever. Let's see. Blocking property with respect to certain Russian energy export pipelines. Oh, weird. Nord Stream, anyone? We'll get to that later. Blocking property of additional persons contributing to the situation in Belarus. Russia again. These, by the way, these are two things that Kyle is pissed about and very upset with. This should not be allowed. Yeah. Strengthening American leadership in clean cars and trucks. Check my camera focus. It seems fine on my end. I don't have it on... I don't know. I don't have it on autofocus. It should be on manual focus anyways. Maybe I'm leaning in and out. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility in the federal workforce. Fuck them. You get my point. Do you think Kyle has covered any of those things? Any of them? Do you think he gives a fuck about any of those things? Do you think Native American women and children and men go missing and nothing's been done about it? Stick to that. Stick to it. Fuck them. Hi, everybody.
Show, but when it comes to the student loan debt crisis, you got nearly $2 trillion in the student loan debt crisis, which is nothing but an anchor.
And also, for the record, nothing but an anchor. Go fuck yourself. First of all, means testing loan forgiveness or specific to certain industries like nurses and other shit. There's a lot of people on board for that. And there's plenty of low-income offsets, Pell Grants and other stuff to fix when people are in over their head with student debt. And I'm all for adding more of those things. But I'm not going to forgive some $200,000 legal bill for, somebody going to, like, Harvard for 4 fucking years so they can make a bunch of connections to go work for a corporate firm and just write it off because it's in the pile. And that's why it's not going to pass. And he doesn't have the right to do it. You can't just eliminate it.
The ankle of an entire generation, you can get rid of.
Oh, is it an entire generation of people? What about the people who actually paid theirs off? Fuck them, right? Do they get a refund? Are we going to bail them out? They started behind the 8 ball. These kids are going to get a head start. They're going to get way ahead of other people by debt they chose to take on. Is it going to be industries only pertaining to the value added to the country, like some sort of weird communist endeavor? The state needs more doctors for the state? Or are you just going to pay off every hedge fund manager's son who goes to the same school he went to that cracked up $160,000 worth of debt?
That with the stroke of a pen. You want to talk about a stimulus for the American economy? Well, that would help massively. How many people have not been able to buy their first house, or haven't been able to get a new car, or haven't been able to participate in the economy in a more normal fashion because they're so held back by student loans? Now, thankfully,
the only reason they're held back by their student loans in a lot of cases is either because they're way young and they're not in that part of their life already, and they seem to think they're going to be ahead of that or some shit. Or, quite frankly, they accrued so much frigging debt on a degree that doesn't make them a living. Which is fine, but then that's you taking it on. If you get a poetry degree, How is that the taxpayer's responsibility to make sure you can buy a house if they never had that start in the first place? Seriously, that is literally magic money out of nowhere. Someone who makes $30,000 a year doesn't have the seed money to get a house. Another person goes to school, runs up $120,000 in debt for their education. These people still start at $30,000. This person got a loan for $120,000. This person did not. Went to work, did whatever, studied poetry on the side. And when they both reached this point, this person's been working this entire time, still working at that $35,000, $40,000 level, trying to work their way up. And then this person gets $120,000 worth of debt, just vanishes. Magic money.
There's they temporarily extended the pause. Okay, good, I'll take it. They were going to have to start on, February 1st or something like that. But no, permanently eliminate it. Go out there, sign an executive order. You know what? We're done with this. No more student loan debt.
By the way, you can't get rid of it with an executive order. Again, it has to pass. That amount of money has to pass the House. Then it has to pass the Senate. Then it has to go back to the House. Then the president has to do it. He can't. There's no line item situation where the president can write off $2 trillion worth of debt. It doesn't exist. It's garbage. It's silly. If you want it, that's fine, but it has to be a bill that makes it all the way through. And it's not on Biden's neck that they don't do it, or that you assume it is.
The debt slate clean. And by the way, I'm going to do an executive order which does rolling student loan debt elimination, which is effectively free college. Do something, Joe Biden. Do something.
Yes, do something, Joe Biden. Do something. Just do something. In the somethings that you're doing, just take your executive pen and do something. At some point, do something if you must. Ugh. And again, this is really about the fact that they were all in on this idea that they would write off this. And by the way, he's already, hold on. Can we do this real quick? I'm sure, I'm certain that Kyle has more than likely covered this. It has to have happened, right? I'm sure Kyle covered this and made sure that Biden got due praise. Do something. I mean, you canceled $40 billion worth, but that's just for poor people. I'm sure he covered this, right?
He's not. I don't know what planet this guy lives on where you think, somehow people are going to start liking you when you haven't done Dickie McGee's act since the $1,400 check last year?
He hasn't done anything since the $1,400 check last year. Again, that is because, according to Kyle Kalinski, more people of color serving as judges across the country is a bad thing. Getting out of Afghanistan, bad thing. Getting 70% of Americans vaccinated, bad thing. Infrastructure bill, bad thing. Rescue package, bad thing. 3.9% unemployment, bad thing. Record stock market, of course, bad thing. Preventing and combating discrimination on basis of gender identity or sexual orientation, bad thing, according to Kyle Kalinski. All these things, Dickie McGee hasn't done Dickie McGee since the $1,400 check, because that's effectively his version of governing.
I mean, get out of here with that. People are saying, "What have you done for me lately?" And the answer is
no, they're not. No, they're not. People are largely from last year, the getting out of Afghanistan was always going to be fucked. That's why nobody did it. Biden finally did it. And he's like, I'll take the hit. It's how it works. And we're out. And we're rebounding from that. He was at 41% weeks ago. He's at 44%, according to Kyle's new poll, which he says is the worst, but it's also the top of, that's the highest that Trump ever got. And his advice is be more like Trump. That's serious. That's what he actually said. Yeah, Kyle, what have you done for anyone lately? Seriously, what have you been right about? What bill that you supported has ever gotten passed? What good thing that you fight for actually exists? What single thing has Kyle Kalinski supported that's actually in place? I'm a right-winger, right? No. I actually give a fuck. I don't sell this bullshit like these guys do. This is where the whole doomsayer bullshit comes from, on the left side of things anyways. And if you're a Kyle Kalinski kisser, knock yourself out. But this is hot garbage.
Yes. You haven't done anything. Which is why.
And by the way, again, he keeps saying you haven't done anything, you haven't done anything. If you're a regular viewer of his program, and you believe what he says, that is the singular narrative of his show. Oh, and by the way, trolls, people who hate my guts and who are hate watching, thank you for being here. You'll understand that we like trolls here. It doesn't bother us at all. And by typing stuff, you actually help us. So thanks very much. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down on your way out of town, because the algorithm don't care. It does not care. And if you're part of the Kyle Kalinski clan, I feel sad for you, because he's invested in failure. Everything needs to go badly or nothing goes right for him. His whole show is predicated on there is no movement forward. So anyways, and the funny thing is probably right now we've got allegedly left-leaning trolls right now who allegedly support what he's saying, even though this isn't left at all. This is as Trumpy as you come. As wolf in sheep's clothing goes, this is all, he's, the two politicians he sung the praise of in this are Andrew Cuomo and Donald Trump. And he's bloviated Trump 8-10 times in this video. At least he knew what he was doing. At least he was a leader and perceived as a leader, and he knew what he was doing, and when he'd do something right, he would do it. Right.
Numbers are in the dump. Now, I told you, it's just for this poll, he's at a record low. His approval rating is 44%. Disapproval is 56%. There was one poll that we talked about. We had him at 38%. It wasn't from this polling company. This is the lowest from this particular polling.
Yeah. And by the way, he's just quoting Rasmussen, which is Trump's favorite polling company and the one that is pro-Trump. He literally is citing the same figures that Trump actually cites as indicative of value.
Company, so CNBC Change Research poll. But, man, it ain't just going to come back up, Joe.
It already is. Literally, earlier in the show, I showed you guys it was 41%, and it's gone up to 44% in 3 weeks. Get
to work. If you're not going to lead, at least have the appearance of leadership. And I don't see it.
That's because you're intentionally not looking, fucko.
Democrats have a crisis of imagination. They don't even believe.
Oh yeah? Oh, we have a crisis of imagination, do we? Well, I apologize for not imagining that things were better off when we had Trump in office.
Power government, which is why, remember that clip that went viral where you had Jen Psaki? It's like, what do you want us to send tests to every American? And then even our shitty media.
By the way, this is almost identical to a Ben Shapiro clip about the same thing.
The journalist was like, yeah, other countries have done that. And then
other racially homogenous countries with less than 30 million people.
Kind of shamed the government into doing an about face and saying, okay, right, well, we're going to do something kind of similar.
No, it just became a possibility. They looked at the stockpile and they actually had them.
That where we, you could request it and then you will get it for free. We're working on the details of that right now.
Yeah, because they're not going to send them to a bunch of rednecks who are going to burn them. Why would you mail out something that you have limited supplies of and there's already a shortage of to red states where you know they're not going to use them because they don't believe in COVID and they're going to have fucking bonfires about them with them? Like, are you out of your mind? Again, this is the same thing. Send them to everybody. Even the people who don't want them or will misuse them or throw them away, waste them.
But they have this crisis of imagination where that's their default stance for everything. Hey, government, can you do this basic function of government? Pfft, don't be ridiculous. It's neoliberal rot is what it is.
How is it basic to waste limited resources on people who will throw them away or not use them? How is that valuable? How does that make any sense? And how is that not a recipe for ultimately running out of those resources that you desperately need for everything?
So look, I'm here to tell.
I just think this fuckstick likes saying neoliberal every so often, as if it means anything.
Biden, iceberg dead ahead. You got a midterm election coming up. Nobody likes you. Your numbers are in the dumps on every single front. The economy,
But I'm glad you're here to help.
Which are the two biggest things, by the way.
Yeah, even though he's done great work in all of them, and you have to admit that you will not. I mean, what do you think this is? The value of this is anything but dampening voter turnout in the midterms. That's all this is. That's what the purpose of this show is. That's what Kyle's entire methodology is, to dampen voter turnout next year. So explain to me how he's not just working for Republicans now. Oh, he's not a Democrat. He would call him he'd call himself a Dem soccer or an independent, like a Vermont independent.
Oh, if you don't get to work, you're toast. But of course, the conventional wisdom in Washington is what? The more Biden does, the more progressive he is, the worse that is for the midterms, because people are afraid Biden's already gone too far left. I'm not kidding.
Dude, why would people think that if all you do is shit on him nonstop? I know what Fox talks like, but you're the person basically saying he's barely a Democrat.
This is what they actually think in Democratic circles in Washington, D.C.
No, they do not. It's what they think at Fox News.
They've internalized the bogus narrative of their opponents.
Yes, it's called the Kyle Kalinski Show. That's what you are doing. That's literally what this show is. You have internalized the Fox News narrative.
And they have no problem governing in that sort of a non-existent way. So, here we are. Joe Biden is truly screwed, and it's never been more clear. I'll do me a favor.
By the way,
and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm.
Yeah, give me that afterthought, pal.